So guys, the Tinubu's government has released information on how the new tax law is going to affect Nigerians in the diaspora. Don't forget that many people have argued why Tinubu is, taxing Nigerians who are already hungry, considering the fact that we don't have good roads in Nigeria, no electricity, we don't have good health care and all that. And now they want to start taxing Nigerians. Like you can see here, this headline is talking about Nigeria's life expectancy ranks lowest in the entire world. That means if you are living in Nigeria, you have the possibility of dying young. Life expectancy is least in Nigeria, is at its lowest in Nigeria. Now, when you look at this chart, it explains it more. Nigeria is number one when it comes to countries where people cannot live long. Nigeria is number one, followed by Chad. There you see South Sudan, Central African Republic, and the rest of them. So Nigeria in the entire world, this is a recent report. So it's not as if this is 2024. No, this is 2025. I think this report came out this month, just a few days ago. Nigeria is number one where people can hardly live long. This is because of the poverty, the insecurity, they had the lack of good medical care and all that. These are the things that were considered to have placed Nigeria at the first position of where people can hardly live long. Now, when you the contrast or the opposite of that is Monaco. Monaco is number one when it comes to places where you go and live long. Then San Marino followed, Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, and the rest of them. These are places where people live up to naturally up to 100 and the rest of it, because they have good medical care, there's security, there's peace, no much stress and all that. So Nigerians are wondering, considering the damage the APC has brought to the table, fuel subsidy gone and there is nothing to show for it, and the borrowing. Now you look at the buying of people across Nigeria recently. There've been a lot of attacks from the Fulani headers, and nobody is speaking. The government is silent. These are the questions. Nigerians can't even boast of security, but today they are going to be taxed. Now, people have also questioned Tinubu's government who had removed subsidy without showing Nigerians where the money for subsidy, the removal of subsidy, the benefits that people are getting. There is no benefits on ground. And now that they want to tax people, how are they going to convince Nigerians that, the money that they are going to be getting is not going to enter voicemail? Anyway, guys, I'm going to allow you to take a look at this video where the Tinubu's government has, a kind of educates people on how this tax reform is going to affect, especially those in the diaspora for this video. But before then, there are some critical videos I really want you to take a look at, and then you'll be watching the entire video of what the Tinubu's government is saying. Take your time and watch this video, and if you think it is beneficial to anybody if you think this video is going to help anyone, just forward it to them so that they get well informed, ahead of Tinubu's tax sword that is going to be released from January 2026. So it's just like how many months left that this tax is going to be implemented. This new tax law is going to be implemented. Now, if you earn more than 800,000, even if it's just more by 1 naira, I mean, if you earn 800,000 naira plus 1 naira in addition, you are going to be paying 15% of the tax. And if you also earn, there are figures that you must know. If you earn anything less than 800, you don't have to pay any tax. If you earn, even if it's just 1 naira more than 800, you pay 15% tax. If you earn anything, even if it's just 1 naira more than 3 million, you are going to be paying 18% tax. If you earn, even if it's just 1 naira more than 12 million, you are going to be paying 21%. And just like that, you can see the entire list there just for you to get informed. Now, let me allow you to take a look at some of these reactions before you now get into the main video where the Tinubu's government is talking about how this tax is going to affect the people in the diaspora. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.
When we say that a bad government knows nobody, we mean it doesn't care who you are. Whether you supported it, changed election results in its favor, or even snatched ballot boxes for it, the negative impact will still reach everyone. No one is spared. In the history of the world, this might be the worst government ever. Unfortunately, it's happening right here in Nigeria. Which government is so determined to reduce its citizens to nothing? Tell me which one. Nigeria is the only place where citizens gladly provide everything for themselves. Everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Electricity, water, healthcare, you name it. The government is as useless as anything you can imagine. Completely useless. Yet this same government turns around and wants to tax poor citizens on their hard-earned money. I'm not against paying tax. Hey, no. That's if you work and earn. But for God's sake, which government taxes the money that simply comes into someone's bank account? Maybe now they are a bit ashamed of borrowing from everywhere and looting the same money they borrowed. So now they've resorted to stealing directly from the citizens. Chai. What a government. Someone should please call me privately and tell me this new tax I heard about is not true. But if it turns out to be true, then this will be the Oga Pata Pata of criminal governments. For all those that supported these clueless criminals into office, I hope they will remember to exempt your accounts until the youths are tired of suffering and say enough is enough. Things will remain this way. They know that only the youths can change this bad government. That's why they keep dividing you with tribal politics. My name is Apostle Barnabas, and this is Truth Assembly International.
The UN has been sending Western tax collectors to Africa to force the continent to pay their foreign debts. And this organization is called Tax Inspectors Without Borders. And if you think this isn't real, here is their website. They are implementing sales tax, minimum tax rates, taking African businesses to court for tax evasion, and they are bragging about the billions they collect from the continent. What the UN does is they send forensic tax auditors from the West to African nations to close loopholes, audit businesses, and implement tax laws that extract as much money as possible from the local population in order to pay back IMF and World Bank loans. And they are very good at what they do. Tunisia was one of the first countries to work with the UN tax collectors in 2015. And since then, the Tunisian government has increased tax revenue over 50% relative to GDP. Recently, you've probably seen different tax reform laws in West Africa, Kenya, among others, and all were pretty unpopular, but they were implemented with a carrot and stick methodology. If the African leaders don't work with the Western tax collectors, they face sanctions. But if they play nice with the tax collectors, they get more loans from the IMF. And you've probably figured out this game already. The West is getting the African nations to run up large debts, then training the African governments to collect the interest payments from the local population. And that money then goes to Western banks. And in many African countries, over 70% of the government revenue goes towards debt servicing. So it's essentially a much more efficient form of colonialism. But I want to know what you guys think. Have you seen unpopular tax reforms in your country? Have they increased your cost of living, or have they had a positive impact? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if this video provided value to you, give me a like and a follow. That really helps out my channel, and I will see you guys on the next video.
History will remember her. Not as a queen, not as a celebrity, but as the woman who changed her nation. She sold the presidential jet, sold 35 luxury Mercedes used by ministers, and put every dollar back into the state treasury. She refused to sell public companies. She cut her own salary down to 30%, so it would match the average citizen's wage. She canceled bonuses for ministers and diplomats, closed down unnecessary embassies abroad, and fought waste with every breath. When she traveled, she flew on regular planes, economy class, and when her people asked for loans from the World Bank, she said, "We will not borrow, even if it costs us our lives. We will only borrow to build, not to survive." She removed taxes for low-income families. She crushed corruption at every level, and she turned a nation once torn by civil war into one of the fastest-growing countries in the world. History will write her name in gold, because true leadership doesn't need luxury.
Tinubu is the worst president of Nigeria. I was going to manage Tinubu. Ndibu used to say Buhari is the worst president. But I say Tinubu is the worst president of Nigeria. Tinubu wants to implement income tax in Nigeria starting January. Nigeria now you won't collect money from. What happened to oil money? What did you accomplish with oil money? First you came in, you removed subsidy from petroleum. Life hard like unimaginable. Now you want to tax Nigeria. Baba, you won't make it better for you, and you don't want make it better for you. Which money there Nigeria where you won't collect? Income tax up to 25%. And they ask, you won't make it better for you, and you don't want make it better for you. Which one? When I see why some people they shout to Biafra, divide. Which one be income tax? Are we white people? Now white people they do tax. Why would you do such thing in Nigeria? You are absolutely the worst. I dislike you so much. So much. I made a video the other day telling you to do something about police brutality. There's other ways to be a leader. Even if you don't know how to economic development, reform police. Instead of you to reform police, this is your economic development. I told you to make this place feel like over there that you guys like to go buy house. And the implementing income tax is your way of making here feel like over there. Papa, you are dumbass. Income tax in Nigeria? Are you kidding me? What do you the govern? You don't know anything. Nigeria way hard like heaven and earth. Everything costs so much money. And you want to collect from the one way person manage, gather. You won't collect. You say they do income tax. And you guys don't know why people they shout to Biafra. It don't make sense. This is one of the reasons why. Income tax for Nigeria, you know go better for the person who give you this idea. You know go better for the person who give you this idea. I don't like this idea. Income tax for Nigeria? Are we white people? Fearing.
Official version of the new tax laws you will find on the Fiscal Reforms NG website. We're already working with the Minister for Justice, National Assembly, for this to be put in the laws of the Federation of Nigeria. The commencement date for the new tax laws is 1st of January 2026, except otherwise indicated. There are instances where commencement will not take effect in January 2026. For example, there's a provision on surcharge on fuel, and I know a couple of you asked questions about that. So there's a requirement to impose a 5% tax on fossil fuel and dedicate that to fixing road. I think it's an easy conversation because you live abroad, and more than 150 countries around the world impose between 20 to 80% of pump price dedicated to just fixing road. In Nigeria, because we just remove subsidy, it will be insensitive to then impose a tax. So the provision in the new law says this surcharge will not take effect in January, even though the law itself is taking effect in January. This provision on surcharge will not take effect. And that's because we think that it should only be introduced when the environment is right, and that money has to be dedicated judiciously to fixing road infrastructure. So we come back to this. So go back to the slide where we were. So the other question is, someone is interested on the impact of the new laws on gifts, grants, and honorarium. Okay, three important things. Gifts. What is a gift? As far as the tax law is concerned, there's a gift when you receive value without giving value in exchange, right? So for example, you say, kids that cannot afford their school fees, you pay their school fees. You see somebody who is vulnerable, you send money to them. Someone is your uncle, your sister, your cousin, you send money to them for their upkeep. All those are gifts and they are non-taxable. Interestingly, something I saw online, someone said, since they said gifts are not taxable, he said from now on, when you are paying my invoice, describe it as a gift. No, that will not work. It will not fly. Why? Because you are exchanging value. I render a service. What you give me cannot be a gift. So just bear in mind, if it's truly a gift, even you will know that it was a gift. No tax. Grants are also not taxable. You send money to an NGO so that they can build a school, repair a road, take care of young girls to go to school, drug addict, whatever it is that is of interest to you, you give a grant or receive a grant, no tax on it. How about honorarium? If you receive a honorarium, it's usually because you have performed an activity. So a honorarium is a taxable income. So for example, I speak a lot, although a lot of my speaking now is pro bono. When I used to speak and collect money, so if you invite me to come and speak at your event, and then when we are done, you say take 1 million naira as honorarium, it's taxable. So when I declare my tax returns at the end of the year, I'll write that amount there and I'll pay tax on it. So generally, honorarium is liable to tax. The next question is, someone says, what is the implication for remote workers and digital income earners? So remote workers, content creators, influencers, there are people who are paid, cool money every month by YouTube, by Spotify, right? What's the answer to the question? The answer is they pay their tax like anybody else. So if I'm in Nigeria and I'm earning my money from online, creating content, and then someone else is here trying to move bricks and mortar around to build houses, and they're earning income, what's the justification for the person doing physical business to pay tax and me, I shouldn't pay, right? There's no justification for it. So if you earn income, whether it's online, whether it's offline, you pay tax like anybody else. If the amount you earn online is small, the exemption would also apply to you. You will not pay tax. But you earn a lot of money, you will pay the tax. The next one is, someone says, how about the taxation of illegal and immoral activities? And I know where this is coming from. I had a session, I think it was last week, and then someone was asking about whether agberos will pay tax. So I said, of course, agbero will pay tax, that the tax law does not care whether what you are doing is legal, illegal, moral, or immoral. It's not the business of the tax law. And we have decided cases dating back to 1927 in the US, where the Supreme Court said that it doesn't matter whether your income is legal or illegal, moral or immoral, you need to pay tax. Because not to pay tax because your activity is illegal is to provide more incentive for that illegal activity. Let me give you an example. If I'm a taxi driver and the law says, don't drive and face one way, so go in this direction, everybody. And then I find a customer that says, I'm about to miss my flight. I say, okay, instead of 10,000, give me 20,000. I will just take this one way. I'll take a risk so you can't miss your flight. So are we saying that that person, because they earn income from illegality, they should now be exempted? Or what should happen if I'm selling imported rice and Madam too is selling imported rice? Me, I smuggle my own rice. She pays custom duties. So when I finish selling, I can just claim and say, because the rice is smuggled, the income is illegal, I should not pay tax. Then I have double advantage. First, I didn't pay import duties, and now I will not pay income tax. So around the world, tax laws are built, created, and developed to drive society in the right direction, including discouraging the behaviors that we don't like. The other important point is that by making illegal activities, immoral activities subject to tax like anybody else, you actually create another deterrent. In the US, the IRS says, and you can go online and see it on their website, they say, if you steal any property or assets, you must declare that asset in your tax returns, using the fair value of that asset as at the date you stole it. Unless, they say, unless you have returned the assets in the year that it was stolen back to the owner. So just imagine, like what they know that not everybody will come and declare stolen asset. But the day they find you, it is harder to establish that you stole the asset. We can spend 10 years going back and forth in court. It takes less than 10 minutes to establish that you claim this is your asset. You say yes. You haven't paid the tax on it. It's so easy to prove. So first, we can collect the tax money from you and also send you to jail for criminal activities before we find out that you stole the money in the first place. When we now establish that the money was stolen, we will still recover 100% from you. Remember, you pay tax already. That is non-refundable. So you are worse off. So it's actually meant to discourage criminal activities. The former Italian prime minister, I think it was Silvio Berlusconi, was so powerful, nothing could work. He was able to manipulate and manage the whole system. They couldn't hold him down until it was tax. It was tax that he used to pin the man down and sent him because he was old already. They said he should go and do old people's work. So, but the idea here is, I don't think there's any need to sensationalize it, whether they are sex workers, whether they are, smugglers, the tax law does not provide. The way the tax law works is, if an item is not specifically stated as exempt from tax and is an income, then it's liable to tax. By the way, all these activities, if somebody is doing Yahoo, wouldn't they be using electricity, using internet? In fact, the knowledge to use the internet to do Yahoo, did they not learn it from school that is subsidized by government? So even in terms of using resources provided by government, these things are used equally by people doing all economic activities, legal, moral, or otherwise. The next question, somebody says, would there be income taxes on diasporas? I think we answered that already. No. But maybe the only caveat is, if you have a business here that is generating income, or you have a property on which you are collecting rent, and that property is in Nigeria, not the one you have abroad, then we'll say the source of that income is Nigeria, and you need to pay income tax on it. The next one is, how will government know if I don't pay tax? So of course, government is not a spirit. The way the tax law has been drafted, it places the first responsibility on individuals and businesses to do what we call self-assessment. Everybody knows what income they have earned, or they haven't earned income. They know. So the law says you on your own should report yourself to government, income you have made, expenses you've incurred, find the net. If it's above threshold, pay the tax. If it's below threshold, don't pay any tax, right? If you don't do that, we now have a fallback option, which is like a system validation. So imagine that I have made 10 million naira and I refuse to declare it to government, or I declare 1 million and I say, waiting government they do for me, right? So what the system will do is the system will track what I've been doing. When people have money, they do three things. They spend, they save, or they invest. So me that I have not declared any income to government, or I declare 1 million, suddenly you see that I went to different restaurants, went to malls, and I spent 2 million. I traveled abroad, bought a business class ticket, it was 4 million. This same me as well. I bought FX for foreign XYZ. This same me as well. I had a new car that I bought. I registered with government, is worth 15 million. So government is going to start wondering, are you printing money at home? Since you made only 1 million, how are you able to spend all of this money? And it's not an accusation of evasion. It could be that you got a gift, but you have some explaining to do if your lifestyle and declaration do not match themselves. So this is not different from what they do in many countries where you guys live and work. Government can tell. In fact, there are countries, and we hope to do that in Nigeria very soon, where they ask you not to bother filing your tax returns because your returns are pre-populated by the system. So you just log into your account and they tell you everything. In fact, the way this thing works now is government even knows where you have been to. Okay? So even some countries in Africa, like Rwanda, like South Africa, are already, making some progress in this regard. So Nigeria should be able to do the same thing in the very near future. The other question is, someone says, how does the new law affect NGOs? So if you have an NGO or you donate to an NGO or whatever it is, NGOs are non-governmental organizations that are set up for not profit purposes. So their purpose for existence is not because they want to make profit. So if you have an NGO that stays true to that objective of not wanting to make profit, but serving and working in public interest, they will not pay tax. But if you set up, because we've seen that before, somebody will set up one NGO, XYZ Foundation. I can set up Taiwo Edile Foundation like that. And before you know it, I'm using the money of the foundation to enter first class flights. I'm using it to pay school fees of my kids. Once you start benefiting personally from the NGO, it will lose its tax status as an NGO, even though the name is still an NGO. You can call it any name you like. So the tax law will look at the substance of what you are doing, not necessarily the legal form. So if you have an NGO, in summary, and you stay true to public interest without personal benefit to you, no tax. If you start benefiting from it or you are extracting profit from the NGO, it is business that you are pretending it's an NGO and you will pay the tax. The next question is, what impact will the new laws have on small businesses? So we were really very concerned and interested in small businesses. I would easily say that small businesses are the biggest beneficiaries of our reform. So as a small business, if you register a company and you make sales, we call it turnover, you can call it income if you like, of not more than 100 million naira in a year, your corporate tax is 0%, number one. Whatever you are selling Goods or services, you don't need to charge VAT. You are exempted. Don't charge VAT. Just run your business. That's another benefit. Then withholding tax. Withholding tax is the tax you deduct when you send or receive an invoice. As a small business, nobody will deduct withholding tax on you. You don't need to deduct on anyone. Just run your business. The other benefit, small businesses tend to not be able to pay a lot of salary to their staff. So you find that for the vast majority of small businesses, all their staff will be exempted from tax because they usually earn something less than 100,000 naira. So the whole idea being that small businesses in Nigeria need to be encouraged, incentivized, and protected. They account for majority of employment in Nigeria, and they add significantly to our GDP. Just imagine if the environment is enabling, and each one of the small businesses in Nigeria is able to hire one more person, unemployment might just totally disappear, to be honest, because these small businesses are very many. Another question is, what is the impact of this new tax law on retired diasporans with properties in Nigeria? If you retire, whether you have property in Nigeria or not, no tax. Nobody is taxing your retirement income. In fact, when we're working on these new laws in our committee, we had an extensive and interesting debate to say, can't we make Nigeria an attractive location for retirees? So that people can even retire in Europe, they can retire in America. They don't need to be Nigerians, though. They retire anywhere in the world, and they look at the regime and say, Nigeria is a very fantastic place to retire. So all the money they have saved, they'll bring it to Nigeria and come and spend it here. Although we didn't land on it. But we were very clear that we should not be taxing retirees. So your retirement benefits, your pension, all of that exempted from tax. But if you are a retired person, whether you are in the diaspora or you are in Nigeria and you own property, and that property is earning you income, like rent, you will pay tax on it. So we can't exempt you from tax just because you retired. If you earn new income, of course, we see people who are in their retirement age and they run multi-billion naira businesses, so they can't be. Otherwise, someone like Aliko Dangote will soon claim tax exemption, once he gets to retirement age. Warren Buffett should not be paying tax in the US if we're looking at age. So in some cases, if you are talking about new income that you are generating, the law does not discriminate or distinguish between whether you are old or young, retired or not retired. But on your retirement earnings and pension, then you don't pay tax. The next question is, what is the impact on real estate investment? I know many of you are interested in the real estate sector. You want to buy land, you want to buy a house, you want to build an estate. Good news. These are new tax law make investment in real estate super, super attractive and competitive. Number one, we have removed VAT from real estate investment. So if you buy a house, you don't have to pay VAT. Just pay and you own your house. On land, no VAT. Even on stamp duties, we reduced the stamp duty on real estate, and we've created a threshold within which we don't even pay at all. And then in terms of rent, the rent that you earn is also not liable to VAT. So I know that issues around real estate can be more complicated than just tax, but from the tax point of view, real estate investment under the new tax laws taking effect from January next year, a lot more attractive than it has been before now. So hopefully, many of you will send money to Nigeria to invest in the real estate sector. The next one is, someone was interested in whether there's any inheritance tax. You live abroad, you inherit something, you bring to Nigeria, or you live abroad, but your parents in Nigeria give you inheritance. The simple answer to this is no. There's no inheritance tax in Nigeria, and we have not introduced it in any way, form, or shape. So if you inherit anything, please enjoy it. However, if you inherit anything, as at the point you inherit it, there's no tax. If you use that inheritance to generate new income, for example, I inherit a house from my late dad, right? That house that I inherited, I don't need to pay any tax on it. But I then put out that house for rent. Yeah, I let it out and I'm collecting rent like anybody else. On that rent that I generate, I'll pay tax. If your parents run a business and they give the business to you to say, when we pass on, this business becomes your own. By inheriting that business, you don't pay any tax. The money that business generates after you've inherited it, you pay tax like anyone else. And I'm sure you agree with me that that's just fair enough. The next one is, someone says, how do you determine tax residency under the new law? I think I've explained that, so I'll skip it. The next one is, any opportunities for investment in Nigeria under the new law? Yes, plenty of them. We discussed already investments in the capital markets. We've discussed investments in real estate. We've discussed investments in government bonds. Actually, I can't even think of any area of investment that these new laws haven't made more attractive than before. If you invest in a startup, we have all manners of incentives. We also have what we call economic development incentive for priority sector, from agri to manufacturing to fintech. In so many areas, you see opportunities for incentives. So please, you need to double or increase significantly the level of your investments in Nigeria. To be honest, I don't see many countries anywhere in the world that will offer you better prospects for returns, decent one on investment than Nigeria. And the best time to invest is now, because these reforms are all coming together. You can see the capital market. Over the past 2 years alone, our capital market has doubled. That's even better than the US stock market. Although I know we're not comparing dollars and naira. But the performance of the Nigerian capital market by global standard has been remarkable. And we expect that will be sustained or even enhanced as the reforms take hold. Then the next one is, what is the plan to achieve harmonization and address nuisance taxes? Yes, there are so many taxes in Nigeria collected by so many agencies, making life harder and harder for the Nigerian people. Mr. President, as you remember, on day one, to tell you how important this was for Mr. President, he mentioned it during his inaugural speech on day one. And when he set up our committee, it was one of the key mandates, says we cannot continue with paying multiple taxes. Unfortunately, public narrative can be the opposite of your reality. People say Tinubu and tax, they are 5 and 6. We had a session with journalists in Lagos Friday before this last one, and I brought out 100,000 naira because that's all I could afford. And I said to the journalists, just tell me one tax that President Tinubu has introduced on the masses since assuming office, and you can have 100. I still have the 100,000 naira as we speak. In fact, I even offered them to send the answer after the event in case they come up with it. They still haven't come up with it. This is the president that the first 4 executive orders he signed were to suspend all manner of taxes that had been introduced previously. And since that time, from cybersecurity levy to the one on expatriates, it's been any tax once we discuss, and this is not in line with making Nigeria a better place, suspend. This is one president that has been very clean about fixing this age-long problem that we've had in Nigeria. So when you hear anybody say Tinubu and tax, just ask them which tax. Let them tell you when the tax was introduced, and you see that they will struggle. So the last one I have here is, someone says, do we have filing? If you stop moving, can you help me press it there? Go to 20. Someone says, do we have tax filing obligations in Nigeria while we are in abroad? So if you are living abroad, you don't have tax filing obligation in Nigeria, except as you are living abroad, you're also doing business in Nigeria. So if all you earn from Nigeria is no income, or you earn dividend from capital markets, interest on government bond, all those ones, you don't have any filing obligation. But if you have a side hustle, or you have a business you are running in Nigeria, then you have a filing obligation. So these are some of the questions that you have asked. And hopefully, I think we have addressed them. Our time is fast spent.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I think it's
thank you.
You've very, very enlightening and clears a lot of issues. However, you've asked 20 questions. You may want to know there are over 200 questions that has been asked.
I can imagine.
So, and I know that some have also indicated they want to say 1 or 2 things. So do we scroll through? Anybody in the room has a question? Let's give you the, okay. So do we scroll through the 200 questions? Maybe you can just quickly look through. However, we assure you that if you can't answer the questions, we'll answer all your emails and send the replies to you. It's been very educating, it's been very enlightening, and it shows that these tax reforms really will benefit all of us, including all of you in the diaspora. As you have heard, this is the time to invest in Nigeria. No better place to invest than in Nigeria. So can we quickly look through the 200 questions and see?
Yeah, so while we are looking through that, let me just run through the rest of the presentation. So we obviously expect that these reforms will benefit businesses, small, large, foreign investment, domestic investment. It will benefit households and individuals. One of the areas in this new tax law that I think will be of interest to our participants is that before now, under this current regime of tax system that we inherited from our colonial masters, we were not competitive for remote work. So Nigerians, it's not all Nigerians who want to travel abroad and live abroad. Someone like me, I can't live abroad. Yeah. So anytime I travel after 2 days, I can't wait to come back to Nigeria. There are young people like that. They just want to sit down in Nigeria and earn their dollars in peace. The laws we have under the old regime will tax the person that employed the Nigerian in Nigeria, even though that's not a Nigerian company. So those guys were wondering, what's so special about these Nigerians? So instead of hiring us, they'll go and hire Kenyans, South Africans, Filipinos, and Indians. And this is also where our English is even better than many of those countries. You know, at least our English is better than the Indians. Our time zone is so we're just so blessed by God. We're just next to the equator. So look at the time difference to Europe, to the rest of the world. But our tax system was discouraging multinationals from hiring Nigerians to work for them remotely. We have solved that problem now. Under the new law, that impediment has been removed. Our hope is that over the next 1 or 2 years, 1 million, 2 million Nigerians, young one in particular, any $1,000, $2,000 a month, that's a lot of money. That's billions of dollars flowing in our direction. It will help the exchange rate and the strength of the Naira. It would also help those people to live their families out of poverty. So this reform is not just about, revenue generation. It's actually about resetting the economy to benefit everyone. So the implementation that we are doing now, which already had started, we are running this until 31st December. So this engagement we're having with you today is part of when we started. Remember, we had some engagements as well. We co-created the solution to the problems we identified. Now that we're implementing, we want to co-execute the implementation with you as well. Many of you, and thank you very much because you shared a lot with us, and some of it we put in the new tax laws about your experiences in the countries where you live. We also want the same thing. As we are implementing now, please share with us what you have learned where you are that is working that we can leverage on. We know that no two situations are exactly the same, but we can always learn from other experiences. So please do share those experiences with us. So we want you, as a call to action, to continue to engage with these reforms and understand them relying on credible sources of information. One thing we have promised and that we have remained true to is that we'll be honest with the Nigerian people. So whether it's, even when we're having to explain surcharge, it was not an easy explanation. And it wasn't part of the original proposal by Mr. President. But we can't go to the press and be denying something that at the end of the day, it went through the normal legislative process and it's in the final version. So we have to, take responsibility for those things. We recognize that as a government and policymaker, we must stay the course. We can't be complacent. This work is not done yet. And we must ensure that we accelerate how we translate the impact of the reforms at the macro level to micro outcomes for household and individuals so that when people go to the market, they can afford food. They can afford to pay for education, for healthcare. They can see their life improving in very meaningful and visible ways. And I think we are closer now than ever before. Reforms come with their challenges, so mind the gaps. What do we mean by minding the gaps? If you have obligation to submit returns, submit those returns. If you need to keep records. One of the things I've been advising small business owners to do is just to be keeping records. And one way to keep record easily is when you are making payments, use bank transfer and POS. When you are doing your bank transfer, just put, instead of putting Emeka 1 million naira, and then you forget who is Emeka and what 1 million naira was for. If that amount was for petrol, write petrol, and your spelling does not even need to be correct. If the amount was to buy a phone, put phone there. The day you need that record, you just need to print your bank statement and you can generate your record. The tax law anywhere in the world, including Nigeria, does not work on the basis of I trust you. You can't go to the taxman and say, just believe me, I spent 10 million. Nobody does that. You need documentation, and we must develop that discipline of keeping proper record. And then let's take action, which is engage with the reform, share your feedback. And if there's anything you don't like, which we expect because it's not perfect, it was made by human beings, please criticize constructively and give us feedback. We are so eager. I can tell you personally, I'm always very eager to hear what we could have done better, because when we are done with this, our reform, one of the things Mr. President said, don't give me a report and take photos and then go away. He said, you sit down with me to implement. That's why we have not submitted the final report. By the time we are done with implementation and we go to Mr. President with our final reports, one section that you find in that our final report is what we are going to call unfinished business, where we're going to document areas for future consideration. So anything you share with us, we can give you the assurance that it won't go to waste. It will be considered with all the interest that we need. So these, I don't know, the slides are not showing again. Okay, they're not showing again. Okay. Yeah. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, but even most people are saying that the whole thing was very clear.
Okay.
And you addressed most of the questions, and the broadcast, the talk was with clarity, excellent and clear, and I think you answered most of the questions. So maybe the 200 questions were,
similar.
Similar. But if you see, so if you see anyone that is very important,
that we haven't addressed,
the issue of the fuel tax, that was a rumor. You said it's not going to happen in January, but it's going to happen.
Yes,
sometime. By the time
that sometimes might be 10 years, it might be 5 years, it might be 20 years, it might be 1 year. So what we've done is to remove, because it was introduced in 2007 in the FEMA Act, Federal Road Maintenance Agency. And in fact, they came to us and said they want to start collecting it. That was even what brought it to our attention. It wasn't in the original bills. So after all consideration, the lawmaker said, you can't be collecting taxes because we said only revenue service should collect tax. So let's remove this from your law. But it seems like this is a reasonable provision of the law. Let's put it in the new law, but let it not commence now until such a time that it's appropriate based on an order issued by the minister and published in the Gazette. So nobody will implement this without informing the public. So, and the finance minister has also had a press conference saying there's not even a plan to introduce it.
Okay.
There's no draft and there's no plan. So I think, yeah.
Then the issue on the...
Sorry, I think they have.
Question 3.
Yes.
Will be slide there, the share.
Yes.
Yes. Made available on NIDCOM website.
Yes. We'll send a copy to NIDCOM. We'll also share to those who register.
Which is also, is the tax reforms translated to all Nigerian languages? It will be.
Not yet. We're working on it. But that even came up today when we had a session with the civil society. We want to translate to all Nigerian languages and want to do the audio version because there are people who still can't read, even if you write in their language. But everybody or most people can hear. And we're also working on the one for people with disability that they can engage with. So that process is ongoing.
Then number 5, how does the tax affect holders of Nigerian stocks? I think you mentioned it.
Yes.
Listed in London. I think that has been addressed.
Yeah, if you have shares listed outside Nigeria, you don't need to worry about Nigerian tax. You worry about those places where they are listed.
Then the non-resident ordinary account and the non-resident Nigerian investment account. I think that needs a bit of explanation. How does it work?
Yeah. So I think, what you just need to remember is if you have a Nigerian account and it is for investments, business, or income, then just get your team. And it's very easy. We're going to share the link with you. You can get the team today and get a number. So it's not complicated. But if you have any other account for any other reason other than business, income, investment, don't worry yourself. You're fine. You don't need to do anything.
Okay.
Then 7, how will the new tax law affect seafarers, sailors? So this is a special treatment. For seafarers, we count the time that they are within our territorial water, an exclusive economic zone. And then when they are on leave, we continue to count it because what they tend to do, some of them will come, spend 1 month, then they go on leave for 1 month and then they come back. So which means all the income they earn is from here. So the rules for seafarers and sailors is in line with the international rule for that particular sector. And that is what we have in the tax law. So what it means is if the time you are actively within Nigeria territory, including our territorial water, and the time you are on leave emanating from your work out of Nigeria in a year is more than 183 days in Nigeria cumulatively, then you pay your tax to Nigeria.
But you won't pay.
You won't pay.
Just that one tax.
Exactly, because it's an international rule. So that rule is developed that if you become liable to tax in Nigeria, then you're not liable to tax elsewhere. If you don't cross the threshold and we don't tax you in Nigeria, it's because somebody else is taxing you. So that's how it works generally.
Sukuk.
Are we going to have recording? So which one is
go ahead. The Sukuk. Do you have a tax on Sukuk?
So Sukuk is treated because it's not interest. So the income is mostly in form of rent or sharing of profits. So whether you are sharing profits or you are collecting rent is taxed the same way as interest will be taxed. And for example, I have some Sukuk bond. So when government is paying, there's no tax because government bonds are exempt. So if this Sukuk is issued by the government, you won't pay tax. Not because it is Sukuk, it's because government bond is exempt, right? So if a bank, or a corporate entity issues Sukuk, then that's a different treatment. Number 9.
That one has affected me before. You want a refund on your ticket.
Oh, okay. That's number 9, right?
Yeah. Could you do a refund?
We make purchase of maybe flight ticket and sometimes I could like to do a refund into my personal account. Do I still pay tax? No. When you get a refund, it's not a new income. Any form of refund, whether it's from air ticket or somebody wronged you and they pay you a refund or you overpay someone and they return the balance, refunds are not liable to tax. Do I pay Have you seen the next?
Number 10, do I pay tax in Nigeria if I receive my pension from the UK? You address that.
Yes, whether you receive pension from Nigeria or from UK, you are not paying
You're not
tax.
paying tax.
You have worked enough and paid enough tax. Enjoy your pension in peace. Any other one?
Okay, let's see more of those questions.
Yes, okay.
Then if money is paid into a corporate account and you didn't do business, you just maybe somebody paid 10 million to into your corporate account, why do you tax that one again?
No, we won't tax it. So when money hits an account, it doesn't mean that it will be taxed. It means that the person needs to explain it when they are filing return. The money could even be a loan.
Exactly.
It could be money that they have to give to someone. So, but it's your responsibility to explain it. But if you now don't explain, you don't file any returns, and we now see 50 million in your account, government will say, this is your 50 million, since you haven't told us anything, we think it might be income.
So it's the responsibility of everyone to file the return, which a lot of people take for granted.
Yeah, a lot of people take it for granted in Nigeria. In fact, one of my colleagues, when I joined PwC, of course, a long time ago, he spent a few years and relocated to the US. The very first year, he got a penalty of $20-something thousand from the IRS. For Christmas, he said, we do that in the US. Like you say, people should file returns here and they just totally ignore it. You know, so really, if you want the country to be better, we must also accept some certain responsibilities to play our own parts.
Okay. Maybe. Okay, Aki.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
That was a very, very insightful. So I want to ask.
Okay, I think they won't hear. Okay, to see. Okay, to see. Okay. Okay, just to see. And let them see.
Mr.
Okay, so I want to ask, sir, from the new tax law, I want you to explain a bit the tax avoidance and for the international for sale. So if I, and for Nigerians, you said if I have spent 183 days
or more,
in Nigeria or more. So what if I look at the tax law and I say, okay, I want to spend like 170, and I go to another country. So how are we going to? Is there
I like that question
in the new tax law, or we are just leaving it?
No, excellent question. Thank you for asking. So we know it's natural, and this is nothing to do with Nigerians. Human beings do this anywhere in the world, because it's a natural thing to want to keep all of the values you have and not have to share with anyone. I remember then when they said they introduced window tax in the UK, very old British law. At that time, people who built modern houses, they tend to have many windows. That's how government came and introduced window tax. People just went and started sealing off their windows, you know. So if you spend less than 183 days in Nigeria, we'll say you're not tax resident, will not tax you. You go to another country, you spend 150. You live there, you go to another one. So at the end of the year, you have not spent 183 in any place. Nigeria will now say, since you have not become tax resident anywhere, the number of days you spent in Nigeria, you will pay tax on those number of days regardless. So imagine, let's say you spent 100 days in Nigeria, we'll leave you because you may be resident in another country and have to pay all your tax there. But we look around and you're not resident anywhere. You pay tax on just what you did in Nigeria. Somebody will say, how are we going to find out? Nigeria has signed what we call common reporting standard with over 100 countries worldwide. And we are already receiving data. So anything that a Nigerian does anywhere in the world, we get that data. We also have an obligation to share data of foreign nationals in Nigeria with their own home countries. So go to Dubai, go to the US, UK, Germany, China, we know what you're doing. Of course, you know, governments will not be going after small amounts.
Yeah.
You know, you have $1,000, somebody's interested. And that's not to say you should evade tax, but really this is not about Big Brother trying to watch everything. If those amounts are material, the message is do the right thing.
Okay, I think
any
the questions, but basically two. But basically, there's been a lot of clarity and a lot of from the comments we're getting and a lot of explanations, and they're happy about this and they want it to be more constant. And as you said, we want everybody to be part of implementers. So as you implement this and you have information to share of best practices, Mr. Oyedele will be glad to hear from all of you. And this will be on our website, didcom.gov.ng.
Yeah.
Then also we have the data portal where we encourage you all to register so that we can send to you directly. What is it again? didcom.gov.ng. Registry.
Okay.
So
should we type it on?
Yeah, can you type it there?
Yeah. Because sometimes it's better if they can see it.
Okay, what role can it play in promoting organic food systems as part of Nigeria's broader tax and fiscal reforms, particularly in linking organic fish producers and exporters to global markets through the Nigerian diaspora? Come for Nigerian diaspora investment.
I was going to say that. I guess that is not within my scope.
Just come to the Nigerian diaspora investment
and find out.
And that one you can also join online, November 11 to 13, here at the Presidential Villa Abuja. Let's take more questions, because we still have a few minutes to go.
Yes, we still have a few minutes.
You have something to... So we type it there. Oh?
Yes.
We plan implementing all this policies.
Yeah. So the question my brother is asking is how do we plan to implement all of this? Because the reality is this is a lot.
It is a lot.
I haven't seen anything of this scale in my lifetime. In fact, the office of the government that does the gazetting, when we're so impatient, we say gazette on time. They say, see, someone said I've been here for 20 years, we never do anything like this. You need to be patient with us. So it's a lot. So what we are trying to do, Mr. President approved when we requested for 6 months. So since June 25 that was signed, we've been working around the clock. And that work is ongoing as we speak. We have a lot of work streams that is going on as we are talking now. We're also working with Ministry of Finance, FRS, Joint Tax Board, and Fiscal Responsibility Commission, because the work of my committee is ad hoc. Very soon, we'll step out of the stage. So we need the institutional capacity to carry this forward. So that training, we're working now with universities, professional bodies, revenue service. And, this work has shown me that Nigerians love their country. The level of support that we are getting.
Yeah.
In fact, a gentleman, just came to us and said, there's so much negativity about this reform. And then came to this office after we explained, he spent 15 million of his own money. I said it's because people don't understand. I translated, they interviewed me and they translated to different language. I was so touched. And there's a guy who works in the US now, earning around $50,000 a year. He said, if I just say come, he's going to drop his letter. I said, there's no one. He said he knows that he wants to be part of the success story. So I think this is something that is really for us. It shows that this country we go places if we work together.
That's true.
So in your own little way, please help us as well. Share knowledge with us. Criticize constructively. You don't have to always agree. And then contribute towards making Nigeria a better place.
And on that note, I agree with you actually that Nigerians are passionate about their country. And more ever than before now, because they are seeing these reforms and they understand the impact
the direction of travel.
Number 14, will there be tax holiday for diasporans bring in already tax funds?
The answer is yes. It's a permanent tax holiday. If you bring your money, whether you've paid tax or not, if you bring money from abroad, there's no tax on it. So it's permanent exemption. But of course, if you now use that money to set up a business and that business is making money, we can't, you pay tax like
anybody else. But can there be incentives?
Yes. So there are incentives.
There should be incentives for the diaspora who decided that, okay, I'm putting my money here for a purpose. They don't have to put it here. So those incentives we need to talk about.
Yes.
With
so they're even already there. Those incentives are there. What we've done is, because we don't want you to start looking for connection in Abuja to get incentives. So what we've done is we've listed them. There's a whole schedule. It's called economic development incentives. There are different sectors, subsectors, amount of investment. If you go there now, and in the slide, the last slide that they put on the screen before, you see the link. We'll also share it with you. You can download all of the tax laws. And the way we've saved them is in a searchable PDF. So you don't have to read 400 pages. If you're just looking for incentive, just go there and type incentive in less than 1 minute.
Okay.
It will show you where incentives are.
We'll also need to share that.
Yes.
So that makes it easier for us to share that.
So,
and then there was a question there for Mr. Lewis saying that if, for instance, you're getting money, I don't know, I'm getting money, but it's going to individuals. It's paid to a company, but it's going to individuals. Maybe somebody from abroad, you said $1,000, but you're giving $100 to Terab, $100 to Madam, and it's going to individuals. Will you tax that kind of? There was a question there that I thought, would you tax that kind of?
So that would depend. 13. What if monthly contribution and people are sending the money into my account in Nigeria before giving it to the individual? No, this one is not taxable. Now, this is contribution from people. They are just the person aggregating it. So it's gifts aggregated before it is distributed. So this one is not taxable.
Yeah.
If you were to be a company, you run a company, you make money. By using that money to help other people. So there are donations, we call them donations that are tax deductible. So you have to ensure that your donation falls within what is, for example, if you start donating to political parties, you won't get a deduction. If your donation is for education, you get a deduction. There's a gentleman who attended one of our events, I was so impressed with him. He says he exports kilishi to 40 countries. I didn't know that you could export kilishi to 40 countries. Yeah, he makes cool money. He said he has not been paying taxes, but he uses his money to send thousands of kids to school in his village. He was now asking me that if he start paying money, will government use his money to take care of the kids? I said, that's what we're working towards. You know, so at the end of the day, there are donations that you get tax deductions for. There are those you wouldn't. Just make sure that, like you do in any country, do your planning properly, read the law so that you are guided.
Okay. Somebody is asking about what you do with this money, with these taxes, which you had alluded to that. By the time you got all this money, what would you do? How would it benefit everyday Nigerians, especially those in lower income brackets? And the one thing is certain, away from the rumors, this favors the lower income. It favors the
yes.
The rich will pay more. But he's saying when you collect all this money, can we have faith in the government that use this money to improve the lives of Nigerians?
Yeah. So the countries that are working better than Nigeria, this is really at the heart of the difference. So there are countries where you pay your tax, you don't have to worry about anything else. Education, health, all of that is taken care of. To be honest, there's no country where anything is free. Some guys are paying for it. Because we don't trust government, 2 wrongs don't make a right. The system will never work. You know, one analogy that I like to use is that it's more expensive for 1 million households to put their own boreholes than for those 1 million households to pay tax and get pipe-borne water from government. And you can use that example for anything, electricity. So the era we are moving to now is for citizens to be responsible in paying their taxes and for government to be responsible in spending those taxes. Interestingly, this is one major area of interest to Mr. President. As recent as if I woke up very early yesterday because there was a request from Mr. President on something around spending efficiency. But this is not the aspect that we are saying to the media. You can't be calling out your political leaders because you can't really impose it on them. When they own it, they buy into it and they want to implement it, Nigeria will be transformed. And that's the journey that we're heading towards. I'm very convinced that in our lifetime, we'll see a different Nigeria.
Amen.
I'm very interested in this.
Treasury
number.
I work abroad. It's under 17.
He works abroad.
I work abroad. And
his money is paid into.
No tax. Yes.
Okay.
No tax.
Yes.
Last night.
Yes.
I work abroad as an
expatriate.
But salary is paid into Nigeria.
Actually school, and some of them get their payments
into their Nigerian account.
How do you then validate their tax payments out there, and at the same time you're exempting them here? Because by the end of the day, how do I, as a Nigerian who works here and goes to school here, not feel cheated when someone else is actually earning from somewhere else and bringing the money back?
I like that example. I like the way you clarified it. So let's use a practical one. I'm a Nigerian in the UK. I'm schooling in the UK. I'm doing side hustle by the side. I get £1,000 for doing that, and I give them my Nigerian account, so they are sending it to my Nigerian account. So the question is, as far as Nigeria is concerned, you are not tax resident in Nigeria. Whether you pay tax on these amounts in the UK or not, it's not our business. That £1,000 is not taxable in Nigeria, but you have to explain it and show your passports that you are not in Nigeria for up to 183 days and you will not pay tax. But the risk you face is that Nigeria may report that amount to the UK government under what I told you, because UK government are also reporting to us, and we have the obligation to be true to that international treaty. So, of course, they usually don't report small amount like £1,000, but if it's sizable, you may find that the authorities will say, you are working here in the UK, we have not seen your return, but that money is being paid into Nigeria. Why are you not paying tax in the UK? Obey the rules wherever you find yourself. Because I know in the UK, that amount is liable to tax regardless of where it's paid into. So don't hide it from the UK authorities. Sometimes, you know, when we are trying to save £200, $150 here and there, they hunt us later in life in a much bigger way. Just doing the right thing, in my view, is the only right thing to do.
Okay.
Yes.
There's so many of us in the government sector right now. It's believed that most of us are taxed right before our salaries are paid. And then at some point in time, that person has a secondment out of Nigeria for a specific period of time, whose account is now in the country of his assignment. Now, in the process, okay, let me be clearer. Some of us have opportunities of being posted outside, and then you're asked, okay, what percentage of the income should be paid into your domicile account back home. A percentage is sent home, a percentage is given to you there. The question now is, does the tax law cover the one that comes home, or is it from the source that will be taxed as well?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Normally, this is a question that the employer should address because these things can be complicated. So when I was still in the private sector, we send staff abroad a lot. I was on secondment myself when I was a junior staff for 1.5 years. So normally what you do is look at the rules in Nigeria, look at the rules where you've sent the person to, and then look at the interplay of those rules. With one objective, this individual should not pay double tax, and they should not do double non-tax. You don't want them to also take advantage of the system. So the starting point is to say, based on the rules in Nigeria, was this person away for more than 183 days? If they were away for less than 183 days, we'll tax them on everything they earn, even while they were abroad, regardless of where they split it to and where it was. It doesn't matter, the full amount. If they were away for more than 183 days, we then find out in that other country, would they tax them? If they tax them, we hands off in Nigeria. If they did not tax them, then Nigeria will say, since we sent you abroad to go and do this work, and your people that did not go abroad here are still paying tax, let us collect the tax. The objective is, we don't want you to pay double tax. We don't want you to gain an undue tax advantage by going on international assignments. Yeah.
Okay. I think there's a 16.
Okay.
Go to it.
Are there structures on ground to eliminate the tendency for staff to circumvent the system? For example, if someone needs the ombuds, how accessible is it to them without having to be at the mercy of staff who make demands? I like that question.
It's also tied to another question that says, when all this money is collected right from the airports, is it going to the hands of corrupt politicians? So we can answer. I think we just have to have faith in the system.
Yeah, we have to have faith in the system, but even beyond that, we're trying to build structures and institutions, because what has happened to us for so long was that we're at the mercy of individuals. If we see a nice person in leadership, they do the right thing. When they leave, the thing collapses the following day. So we need to move away from that and build strong institutions. So you see a lot of that in the reforms, trying to strengthen institutions. So to the question around the ombudsman has been set up. We removed the man because it could be a woman. So we just said
that's why I said ombudsman.
Yeah, it's ombuds. So this person is going to be appointed by Mr. President, and then the person will be accountable to the National Assembly and to the Nigerian people. They are to resolve issues within 24 to 48 hours, routine issues, complex issues, maximum of 14 days. And what we're trying to do now is to build like a call center where you can just call like you're calling emergency number, and you don't have to speak English, just speak your language. And there's someone who is there to attend to you, because everything they're doing in that office will be tracked and reported. If they are delaying, this is not the office where you try and go and be forming big man or big woman. It's to do the work. So we are currently working on that structure. We are learning from other people. We've also had a lot of international support. When we had one meeting with 15 EU countries. So when we said we're introducing tax ombud, the ambassador from Sweden said, yeah, that's our idea. If you want us to share more. So apparently they were the one that came up with it, that invented it.
So that will be coming up.
It's coming up from January. So we're doing the setup now, and that will help you. And whether, even if you are in the diaspora and you see some ridiculous tax demand, just call the ombud. If you like to send an email, whatever works for you, but we'll provide.
Well, to just round up, but all these questions, we'll still give answers to them. But I think with the Nigerian diaspora organizations registered in Nigeria, be taxed too.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm making money, but I think they're exempted. But a lot of comments are coming in, which are very positive. Maybe we'll round up on this note. This guy says, as a CEO of over 2 decades in leading a UK public practice firm of chartered accountants and tax advisors, I've thoroughly enjoyed the insightful fiscal policies and tax reform presentation. All this for allaying the palpable misconception that all Nigerian diaspora with Nigerian bank accounts were going to be subject to the remit of the reforms. So I was thinking of moving my money out of Nigeria banks,
thank God, though.
from my first bank, USD, CP, and Naira accounts for January, but now not anymore.
Please send money to the account.
Yes, because I have considerable comfort from the webinar. So thank you very much. I will also want to invite you for the Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit, November 11th to 13th. Okay. Please be there physically to explain more. You said something which is encouraging. Encourage them to invest in Nigeria. There's no better time than now.
Yes.
So we'll be looking forward to having you.
Yes.
NDIS, November 11th to 13th. Choose any of the days. Then for all of you, show us the link again, the data portal.
Directory.
Or go at the top. That's the directory.
Coming up.
So on behalf of all,
Yeah, that's it.
.ng registry, register there so we can know where you are, what you're doing, and reach out to you directly. We're going to have this on our website. We're going to share the information with you. Then I want to get a copy of the presentation, which we'll round off with. And somebody else says she's going to send everything to everybody. So thank you, Victor, your name.
Yes, thank you.
So guys, you have seen it for yourself. These are the reactions of Nigerians as regards to Tinubu's new tax law. People are not happy. People are wondering why after removal of fuel subsidy, we have nothing to show for it. Rather, we've gone ahead to borrow and borrow and borrow beyond borrowing. So how come, Tinubu still want to tax Nigerians? How are we sure this money is not going to enter? Voicemail. Don't forget that the IMF has come out to say that the problem with Nigeria is so much money is going out of the country. The question remains, who is taking out the money? The IMF came out to say that huge amount of money is leaving Nigeria. So the question remains, who is taking the money out? So it appears after they borrow, they take it out. After they borrow, they take it out. So Nigerians are still concerned as to how are they sure this is not going to, affect. This money is not going to enter voicemail by the time they collect it from Nigerians, because taxes are not bad, but when you collect taxes from the people and you don't have anything to show for it, just tell me how it is going to be, how you are going to persuade the people to willingly pay. There's no way you can expect the people to willingly pay. So the question remains, how is Tinubu going to do it, considering the fact that Tinubu has borrowed a whole lot and has nothing to show? Is it now that they will collect taxes and they want to have something to show for it? Now, let me just take you to some of the reactions, from Nigerians, from this Speed Darlington's post. Somebody says, speak, my brother. People are happy that he is speaking. And then this other person here said, here is the explanation. I feel the disgrace. Okay, I feel the disrespect when people put Akpe and Portable in one sentence. Akpe is locally sound. Good point. There are other ways to be good president, even if you don't know economic reform. And this person say, seriously, country that can not provide free healthcare and complete free education and jobs and good infrastructure are asking for income tax when the people are suffering to feed their families, So let me just say, people are not happy, This person say, a president who can't provide common job for her citizens, make life hard, is planning to collect tax from 17% up. And then this other person said, anyone that's still supporting this government at this point with the way the administration is running the country is either a very terrible person or mentally unstable. So these are some of the reactions from Nigerians, after Speed Darlington spoke up on the Tinubu's plan to collect taxes without showing anything with the subsidy money he has removed. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.